Hey, everyone. How's it going? It is me, Victoria Baxter of the Saved and Single Ministry, along with New Single Life Coaching. And if you are listening or watching me on a Saturday, then that means it is time for the Sassy Saturday special. And it's been interesting, like these past, or really just like the past week. I know I've been kind of doing like the One Flesh series on Facebook and even YouTube. And then I want to say like last week for the Sassy Saturday special. Sorry, people, I don't think I did it for the podcast, but I did do YouTube, Facebook, the page, and the group, and possibly even on Instagram. I don't remember, but I talked about what is it? Your bed isn't empty. Sorry, I had to think. I drew blank for a minute. But talking about how your bed isn't empty. A lot of us, we say we're tired of going to bed alone, but truth be told, we already got a couple of people already up in there. You have to go check that out. Yesterday, for Fresh Face Friday, I was talking about how some of you are running from your husband, the man that you're praying for. He's already in your face, whether it's an actual person or the type that you typically, whatever, you have to check that out. But I'm realizing now all of these things are kind of tying together, as this is actually a message that God gave me. God actually, Holy Spirit gave me this message. This was maybe about 2 months ago, if I'm not mistaken, somewhere around there. But anyway, for today, what I want to talk about is Rahab, where's your husband? And this is more a question that it might sound a little bit crazy, but I want to know, Rahab, where is your husband? So imagine this. Imagine that you are dealing with or overcoming a certain situation in your life, and then out of nowhere, boom, like a man comes along needing your help with the same thing that you have been graced to experience. You're crushing what I try to get women to understand, and I spoke about this a while back also. Your crushing experience, the things that you've gone through in your life, the things that you have experienced that have been closely connected to you, might actually be tied to your future husband's deliverance. Let me repeat that because I want you to really let that sink in. Something that you have gone through, something that you have been graced to experience. I mean, and you did survive, so there's really no need, complaining or feeling whatever type of way about it. But it's something that God allowed you to go through, something you have been graced to actually experience. And now it's something that your crushing experience, your crushing season is now tied to your future husband's deliverance. What the heck would I mean by that? Let me give you an example of three women in real life, real people, real time. It's not one of those, oh, I heard a story. No, like I literally know these people on a personal level. Three different women, three different scenarios. Not going to use names, obviously, or what their relationship is to me. And for those who may come across this video, out of these three ladies, if any of them decide that they actually want to share their story, I'll let them do that on their own. So there is woman A, and for her story, she went through a lot of abuse from her biological father and even with some men. There was spiritual abuse, there was religious, I'll also even say, religious maybe abuse or whatever as well, but there was domestic violence, there was physical abuse, verbal, all this other good stuff. There's a lot of things that stem from the time she was born. It's like she was born into abuse and she saw it a whole lot. Now she's already now dated different men who also abusive and whatever else the case might be. Whatever, she now met a great man, everything was good to go, whatever else the case might be. And now here goes Satan, because of course, when we're about to be elevated, or when God knows, or when Satan knows our weaknesses, or the things that typically might cause us to give up or whatever else, that's when he always comes, because he knows what trips us up, and he knows the things that we don't like to handle, the things that are going to cause us to make a bad decision because we don't like being in that situation. Satan studies us very, very closely, and we need to keep that in mind. So here it is. She has this great person. Satan weasels his way on in. And now you have this man who is in her life who has his ex-wife being used by Satan in some crazy ways, spiritual manipulation, spiritual abuse, all these other things. And it's like the ex-wife and Satan have pretty much been tag teaming this man by himself. But God allowed this woman A, to connect with this man, knowing that woman A has actually been graced with certain experiences, even from her own biological father, her own past relationships with narcissists and whatever else, to now encounter this man who his deliverance is tied to her crushing experience. The areas that he's excelling in, the areas that this man is doing great in, he is able to be a blessing in her life where she has struggled at before. But the thing that has been beating him the most, she is graced to experience. She knows what's going on. She knows how to handle. Here it is, God brought them together, but Satan tried to divide it. Let me give you another scenario. Woman B. Woman B had a mom who was an alcoholic pretty much all of her entire life. The mom was an alcoholic, and it caused a lot of problems for woman B. And here it is, woman B met her husband. Woman B, or she met this great man, I'm sorry, let me say this man who whatever. She met this man, and here goes Satan, because that's what he does. And it's like the very thing that has caused her the most pain, this man is actually now admitting that some of his little funky behaviors that she couldn't figure out, him trying to avoid certain things because he was an alcoholic. So woman B went through something. She was graced to experience it. And now all because she knows how to deal with that and how to help. You know, of course, I know that's something that one person cannot just fix on their own. That's not what I'm saying. But it's something that he used to struggle with. He's out of that. But she knows the pain from where her mom dealt with that. So for her, I was like, no, I will never, deal with a man that da-da-da-da-da, whatever. And here it is. She's now been graced with that experience. And her crushing season and the things that she went through is actually tied to this man's deliverance. Let me tell you about woman C. Woman C is someone who has had mental illness run throughout her entire family. She has a son who is also dealing with his own mental health issues. She then met a man, awesome man, but come to find out he's dealing with what? He's dealing with mental illness and things that are truly getting in the way. Otherwise, he has every single thing that woman C needs. They are like that complete thing to balance each other out. So he has all of these things, and that being the very same thing. And now here goes Satan, using that same thing to try to come in between this beautiful relationship that God is actually bringing together. This man has mental health issues, and the same things that she has been graced to experience, and that she, has a lot of knowledge and information dealing with it, especially from the spiritual side. She's been graced to experience all of those things, whereas her crushing season is tied to this man's deliverance. Rahab, where's your husband? And I say that because there are some things that are from our past, but they're going to help us in our next season. If you did not catch the message yesterday about stop running from your future husband, I would highly recommend you listen. I would also highly recommend you listen to last week's Sassy Saturday special about, your bed isn't empty. Because a lot of us as single women, we're praying and we're desiring and we're wanting certain things. We're ready to get married. We're telling God he has to come shaped like this and built like this and all these other good things, because we've now think that, we can just build a man and decide what we want and have God bless it. And that's not going to be the case, because God is saying, hey, you have a job to do. There's something that you are the only person who is going to be able to help your future husband with this thing. And some of us, we have been repeatedly running from the same kind of man, not even realizing our future husband is dealing with that. And it's like each guy has this problem just a little bit more, serious than the last guy, because God is like, when are you going to get it? But then here it is, the men that we're chasing after is the very thing that God is trying to deliver us from. But the same thing that you have been graced to deliver somebody else from, you're running from it. The things from your past will oftentimes be what will help you in your next season. Rahab, where is your husband? And I say that because, see, Rahab and Joshua, she planted 2 years in one season. She spent 2 years planning in one season while hiding men throughout the years. And it ended up being necessary in her next season. Because what ends up happening is where she was planting and sowing and whatever else in one area and planting those things that she was then able to use to help hide men in another season. Things that ended up turning out very well for her and what elevated her and took her to her own place of deliverance. Because, see, God does not waste pain. Now, the enemy is going to do whatever he can actually do to stop kingdom marriages. When you actually have two powerful people individually, it's already a problem. This man is awesome over here, and she's awesome. And those two people are already a threat. But now you're talking about bringing them together as in a triple braided cord, because now you also have God right there at the center. What do you think is going to happen? Like, this is going to terrify Satan's old punk behind. Like, he doesn't know what to happen when you now have two people who now know what it's like to go through experiences, still give God the glory, still give God the victory, and end up becoming, victorious throughout the whole thing. So he is going to do everything he can to separate you from the very person that is the answer to everything that you're going through. And you're also going to be the answer to everything that this man has already dealt with. Because just like Adam in the garden, Adam already had XYZ going on. He already had all of these different things. He wasn't complaining. He wasn't talking about, oh, I need somebody to help me. God was like, okay, look at him already handling all of these things. He needs a helper. I think he actually needs someone to help him with all. Let me create someone just for him to help him with these very same things. And I'm not even saying that what Adam had in the garden was issues, but anyone who's, if you've had a garden, if you've been planting, like cultivation, like planting and water and fertilizer, those things take a lot of work. So it's a lot of work. And yeah, something like that, and especially now, the whole Garden of Eden, like I can only imagine, like you was probably like giving birth to unicorns out that garden. So surely that would be like a 2-person job. So Adam had whatever going on, but God's like, he needs help. And that's the same thing that God told me like 2 or 3 years ago. Like, your husband is going to need your help. Like, this is going to be something like only you can help this man with these things. And every time, honestly, every time I met a man that needed help, I was like, oh no, he got too much going on for me. And of course, now I'm like, dang, God told me I was going to need the help. And now as I'm whatever with certain things, I'm like, oh God, maybe I need to take somebody back from the past because this is too much. So I ask you again, Rahab, where is your husband? Are you willing to fight for your future husband and your marriage even now? Or are you going to sit back and bypass all the men that you encounter because you don't like their thorn? Because what I will tell you is that each thorn gets a little bit sharper. I speak from experience. Each thorn will get just a little bit sharper. I realize now with a lot of these different men that I dated and men that I encountered, and all of these different things, and I'm just like, okay, you got too much. I don't know. I need a man who's ready-made. I don't got time. I'm getting grown or whatever. Next. Then I meet another. Okay, he's got it going. Oh, okay, well, he has this issue. Yeah, I kind of been down that road before. Next, meet another man. Okay, so he's, even better in this area. But then the same thing that I left the other ones for, he's struggling to a whole nother level in that area. Next. Each thorn got sharper. What I say by thorn, because when you look at the Apostle Paul, and we know it talks about being sent, that tormentor of Satan, that thorn that was in his flesh to keep him from becoming proud. Nobody knows what that thorn is. Scholars and everyone have taken their guesses on what type of thorn and whatever may have been talking about, whether it was like, something physical or whatever else the case might be. No one knows. But I like the fact that no one knows, because now we get to guess and wonder what that thorn is, what it was. We get to put our own interpretation, our own, it might have been this or it may have been that, whatever else the case might be. And it's like we all have a thorn. But a lot of times we're trying to find that person that has we want that person that smells like roses, but we don't want them to have any thorns. But it's like each test that you fail or that you abandon or that you walk away from is going to come back. I don't know if you've noticed it yet, but God is not like, you're not allowed to just say, no, God, I don't want that test. No, thank you. Like, God, give me something. Did you hear that little story, cute little story that was floating around back when all those little forward this email crap was going on like 20 years ago when emails first started? But it was this cute little story. And it was talking about this man who was just too much going on in his life. And he was like, you know what, Lord, I can't deal with all of this. Like, I need another life. Like, this is too much for one person to bear. So God was like, okay, yeah, come with me. Let's go. So God took him to a room, opened up the door and was like, okay, here, look. There was a room full of crosses, all of these different crosses. And he was like, you know what? Pick a cross, whatever cross that is that you're going to carry, whatever cross that you want to bear. The size of the cross is going to be equivalent to the struggles in your life. The bigger the cross, the bigger the troubles. So the man, he walks in the room, he's looking around and he sees short ones, tiny ones, fat ones, whatever else. He sees one really, really big one. He's like, okay, obviously I don't want that. That's probably the life I have now anyway. So it looks all the way in the corner. He sees this tiny, tiny, tiny little cross, tiny, overshadowed by the other one. He's like, you know what, God, I'll take that one. So he went. God was like, are you sure? He's like, absolutely, I want that. God, okay, go get the cross. Man goes and picks up the cross. God smiles. Well, guess what, my son? That cross that you picked, that's the life you are already living. That's the life that you already had. So see, now you can put your problems into perspective. You can put your thorns into perspective and realize that sometimes the things that you're going through, they might be bad to you, but others are going through things a little bit more serious. It can always be worse. That'll really help us with putting things into perspective. I say all that to say that again, our thorns and the things that we're going through, a lot of times it's not as bad as we make it out to be. But a lot of times we get a little bit entitled and we really get stuck on this whole boldly approach the throne and, God will make things easy and you will just be whatever else. No, because John 16:33 tells us in this life, you will have troubles, you will have trials, you will have problems, issues will arise. But take heart, I overcame the world. And we need to keep in mind that if Jesus overcame, we are overcomers. We will overcome everything. So we have been graced, even as women. Weaker isn't as in like the physical aspect a lot of times, absolutely. But women, I don't think we really realize when you look in the New Testament and when you look about just women and Jesus appealing to women and appearing to women and calling women and all of these different things. When we look at the adulterous woman, the Samaritan woman, like Jesus had a very special place for women. I mean, of course, obviously for men, but we are graced and equipped to help with certain things. We might be weaker in a sense. Yeah, men have a lot to do. They've been called to certain things that I don't want any parts in. But our job as helpmate, we are the life saver for the man that God is going to bless us with. So we can't keep going based on, I don't want a man who's going to be X, Y, Z, and God wouldn't do that to me. And all this time that I've been single and like we treat a husband like a prize. God would never bless me with a man who needs that. Okay. And for some of us, that's why we're still single. Because you see it as and God is like, first of all, I'm the prize, first of all. But yeah, you're right. I would never bless you with this man who could be the answer to every single thing that you are going through in your life. Everything else that you're going through, this man would be the answer for that. But I just wanted you to help him with this one thing, and that's too much for you. How dare you? I'm going to get off. I'm just going to leave that alone. Rahab, where is your husband? I want you to think about that. What have you been graced to experience in a previous season that might just be connected to your future husband's deliverance? Just think about it. But connect with me, the jalministry.com/saved-single. Also, newthinglifecoaching.com. I like to, of course, I do the life, singles, dating, and relationship coaching for Christian women for whatever area that you might be facing in your life. Let's talk. Let's see how I can help. You can always do a consultation at bit.ly/try-me-girl, and we can figure out a plan of action for what it is that you're needing. You can also see all of my packages and everything there at the coaching site, newthinglifecoaching.com. But hey, God bless you all. Do not forget that not this coming Monday, but the following Monday, I'm doing the live 5-night training revival, and that is for the single Christian woman or just the woman in general, the Christian woman who is saying, hey, I need to see a revival in my health, in my finances, in my ambition and drive, in my self-love, my spirit overall, like my overall peace and joy. We're going to look because, God came for us to have the abundant life, and a lot of us are not living that. So we're going to get our spirits and everything right now. Sorry, I heard sirens. I was like, what is going on? We're going to get our spirits and everything, together now. We're going to experience that revival now together so we can take that into 2020. We're not waiting for 2020 to start making certain changes. So you can sign up at that www.thejalministry.com/revival. Thejalministry.com/revival. God bless you all. I love you all. Take care, and I will talk to you all later. Bye.